achievement plus fulfillment equals success. And it's a very easy equation, but sometimes we get it very wrong. And what happens is we start our business, we get out there, and we start hitting big achievements. We make more money, we go and get those dream clients, we travel around the world, we do all the cool things. But for some reason, we don't feel fulfilled. And a lot of the times it's because we haven't really intentionally put out into the world our values, our goals, and what it is that we're trying to achieve. Now, as creative entrepreneurs, our business runs alongside our life so closely that our business really does become part of our life. And so it's really important that we are very clear on our goals and the direction and what we're actually doing. So on the Make Your Break podcast today, I'm talking with Ivan Wognine, and he is going to basically give us a 4-part framework that's going to break down how to create a content calendar for your life and for your business so we can be on track and so we can find more fulfillment, not just the achievements, and we can hit that big success that we're looking for. Now, my name is Jai Long. I'm the host of the Make Your Break podcast. And if you're not subscribed yet, you can head over to Spotify or Apple so you can listen while you're going for a cruise. And we've also got a workbook for today's episode as well. You can hit the link down below and you can fill out that workbook. If you do have any questions, just put them down below and I can get back to you or Ivan can get back to you. We're both here and we're both ready to show up for you. I hope today's episode gives you a lot of value. I know that it will. And let's get into it. Ivan, it's so good to have you here on the show. And it was such a pleasure to actually meet you. When I met you, I met you in Texas. It was in, not Dallas, was it? It was somewhere else. Can't remember the name of that town.
Denton, as they
Denton.
say it here.
Denton.
Denton.
Yeah, it was so good flying over and then actually seeing you at the conference that I was talking at and hitting it off. So good to have you on the show. And I'm really excited to go over some big things with you today to really help people, make more money in their business and live a life that they want to live. So welcome.
I'm pumped. Thank you so much. Friends, I'm glad to be here. If you're listening through your AirPods, making dinner or on a run, let's hang out. I'm excited.
Welcome, welcome. We'll probably be sitting on here for at least an hour. What do you think?
An hour, that's a good bet. Let's see what happens.
So, before we get into today, maybe just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Ivan. I have been in the wedding industry for about 6 years. I've been shooting for a little over 6 years, and I didn't plan on being a photographer. Y'all, I was gonna be an architect. So this is a very far trip away from architecture, but
I feel like so
I
many
took a
people's story starts like that. Hey, it's like I was going to do this one thing, and then the next minute I picked up a camera.
you know, I don't know why that happens, but I mean, we're all here now in the same industry and love what we do, so I guess it's cool. But um I took a camera on a trip to Arizona, just like was like, I'm gonna be a travel vlogger now and like take cool photos. And then I was like, oh crap, I like this. And so I started shooting weddings the following year, and then I started paying taxes. And then I was like, I think I have to be a business owner
Better
now.
make some money.
Yeah, I was like, I need to make some money. And that that like joking statement turned into, oh no, I actually love this. I have a passion here. I see a career here. And now I teach others how to do the same thing. And I'm still doing it in I guess 2 regions of the country and have a small team, and it's cool.
It's cool, man. So, getting into like you educating people, why did you start educating people?
I I knew before I was a photographer that I wanted to help people make more money.
Yeah.
I I don't know why exactly, other than when I got out of architecture, I decided to do an organizational leadership management degree. And I think just through learning stuff in a school setting, I was like, this is dope. Like, we can
Mm.
have impact by just teaching people how to do simple stuff with frameworks that are not that hard to learn. And once I started seeing people like in school projects make money, I was like, why don't we do this for real? So in 2020, after I'd already been a photographer for a few years, when like COVID happened, I was like, this is a great opportunity to help people just pivot. It was the word we were using around there.
Yeah, yeah.
Pivot, and just help them verbally process how to make changes in their business to still put food on the table. And so I started offering hourly coaching, and it stuck. I did my first in-person workshop at the end of 2022, and I knew I was in trouble. I was like, I loved this
Wow.
more than I thought I was going to. Just seeing people actually have wins and double, triple their income after coming to a workshop, I was like, we're going to keep doing this. This is where I want to be. So
That's really cool. So it gave you some fulfillment by seeing other people succeed.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was, so why are you passionate about other people making money?
I think it's because there's more fulfillment for me. And I feel like all of us on here could probably resonate with this. There's more fulfillment for us to give than it is to receive. Like, I am super grateful for the amount of clients that we've had, the amount of money that I've made, and all of that good stuff. But I remember after the first workshop I did, I had somebody come who had been in the industry for a decade, and they still felt like they weren't making enough money to support their family, and they were having kids, and they were like,
Yeah,
this isn't
wow.
working. And our family is growing, and I'm still not making enough to support my family. And that lit a fire under me, because I was like, what I tell this photographer right now actually is going to either keep their life the same under the same stress of not being able to support their family, or it's going to allow them to put food on the table.
Mm.
And so we went into pricing strategy, and then I got a message very soon after the workshop being like, I've never made this much money on a wedding, and have followed up with that same person over the year following, and they're continually making almost triple, if not triple, what they were making. And I go home at night and I'm like, that person gets to put food on the table. Giving was better than receiving in that. And so I think it's about actually leaving a positive impact on
Wow.
people's lives. Like, you're actually doing something that matters for someone else.
It feels pretty incredible, hey?
Yeah. And I mean, you do that like day in and day out. I know that like you probably resonate with that.
Oh yeah, I do, man. And for me, like it definitely stems from like, growing up with no money and then feeling like you're hopeless, or a lot of people feel helpless, and I know that feeling too well. So when you see people that need help, you're like, oh man, let's show people how to make money. And that's always been my
Yes.
superpower ever since I was little. I was always hustling, doing something, selling something, creating something. So it's cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's get into like maybe walk me through what we're about to dive into.
Yeah, simply put, I I want y'all to know we're gonna have a little coaching session today. You, me, and
Ooh.
Jai. um, so get your notebooks out, or if you're making your chicken lasagna, I hope you're really good at taking mental notes. Or if you're really like me, get out a whiteboard with different colors. But
Epic. Oh, and also to let
essentially,
people know too, we'll make like a little workbook so you can download this from the podcast episode, which will be down below. So if you want to dive in on that and write some notes, you can.
love that. This is why you listen to Make Your Break, y'all. This is
Exactly.
why you listen.
The
I love it.
value is just crazy.
The value. Come on.
We're working hard over here. I'm
Essentially,
actually sweating right now. That's how hard we're working.
it's also that and the lamps that we have on right now
Yeah,
beating down
lamps
on
are
us
not
against each
not
other.
good. And here in Australia, it's like full summer, and I've been sweating every moment the sun's up. I'm sweating right now.
We'll take your heat.
You can have
We will take your
it.
heat. Thank you. Thank you. Gift from Jai today. Appreciate it. Essentially, what we're gonna walk through is how to create a project calendar to work on your business for a year. I'm going to take you
Ooh,
through a very simple framework, a step-by-step framework for taking all of your hopes, dreams, and emotions and putting them into a specific calendar that's not a to-do list. It's not a task list for getting your editing done. It's not a marketing promotional calendar. This calendar is specifically for the needle moving revenue driving project goals that you have every year that they actually get done. And my hope is that you can take this format and every 6 months or every year you take time to redo your calendar. And when you're listening to a podcast like this one and someone says something that's cool and you're like, I need to do that in my business this year, you can put it into the system
Dang.
you already made. That's what we're going to talk about today.
So tell me, why do you think this is important?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a story guy, so story time.
Yep,
There's
let's
always
hear
a
it. Let's hear
story.
it.
So picture this. It was like it was 2021 and I at the time was like, I'm at the height of my career. I'm shooting all the time. I wanted to be a wedding photographer and I did it. I'm booked out. I'm receiving recognition in my region.
Giving yourself high
Venues that,
fives.
oh yeah, like the venues that wouldn't DM me back were now like asking me to work with them and putting me on their preferred vendor list. It was like everything that I had ever dreamed of, right?
Wow.
But behind closed doors, I was in the most stress I had ever experienced at that point in my business. I would genuinely say some of the most stress I've ever had in my life. I also was going through some health issues at the time that were really taking me out, and so like it was a horrible year. But on
Wow.
Instagram, everything looked amazing. Um, like I said, my only goal was to be a wedding photographer and book out my year. And so once I did that, I took the courses, I connected with the photographers. By the grace of God, I did that. The problem came in where I was like, now what? Do I just make a bigger goal? Do I just quote unquote scale, even though I don't really know what that means? And I just heard it on an Instagram reel. Like,
Mm.
why am I a photographer? Like, why am I actually doing this? Do I just rinse and repeat and I just shoot the same amount of weddings every year and increase my pricing? Like, I don't actually know what I'm doing. And also the question I asked myself in that time period is, am I meeting the goals that I have for my life as a person, not as the business, not as the business owner? Um, am I just booking weddings every year at this point with no intention? So long story
Yeah.
short, out of that place of tiredness, stress, exhaustion, being weak from being in the hospital, like I was in a place of prayer looking for direction. And I before I say this, I should say, I love Jesus. You don't have to love Jesus to to hear this story, but you're welcome at the table. But this is my story, and so you'll hear some references to my encounter with God. But I was in a place of prayer after that year, and this is the best way I can put it. I saw I saw a picture of two boxes that looked like a two-sided calendar. That's all I saw. I was like, everything sucks. And I saw literally like two boxes
Wow.
that looked like a calendar. And I drew them on a notebook piece of paper that I still have in a journal. And I said, there's something to this that I need to do something with. And so in 2022, I made a Google Calendar, like a Google Doc, and drew the calendar that I drew on paper. And I started tinkering around with making a system around being more intentional with how I built my business. And that turned into the calendar. And the following year was my most successful year financially and clarity wise at that point. And once I built it, I was like, man, all these photographers out here are just confused about what they're doing with their businesses. We should start teaching people how to use this calendar because I am not stressed anymore.
I love that. Like one thing that I say is like success, and the equation of success is achievement plus fulfillment, and that will equal success. And to me, when I hear your story, when you go in 2021, you had like achievement plus nothing. And so even though you had
Exactly.
everything, you had all the achievements, you just didn't feel the success because you felt directionless. So,
Exactly.
what I'm hearing here is like you've got the achievement, and now you're looking after fulfillment in your life, in spirituality, in your business, in everything, and you can put that into a calendar, and now that feels finally like success. Is this right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, just one more question. When someone creates this, what would their life look like?
From using a project calendar built for working on your business, your life is going to look the way you want it to look. And that sounds meta, but to
It sounds
to
obvious, and sometimes, like, what is it? Common sense is not always common knowledge or common practice. It's like we need
exactly.
the obvious.
Exactly. And this is like this is like the spoiler alert, I guess. This is
Yes.
exactly what this entire episode is going to be. This is common sense stuff that you will probably say at the end of this pod listening to this podcast. I feel like I knew this. Like this makes sense, but no one's doing it and they're not disciplined to do it repetitively.
Mm.
What your life is going to look like is the way you want it to look. And I don't know what that is. It could be a number of things, but I want to give you something that will allow you to picture this in a year. You look back on 2024 and you actually can look at the goals that you made and they align with the life you said you wanted to live. I'm not trying to give you a process for getting your New Year's resolutions done, but there is a general idea in your head that maybe you haven't been able to process verbally or on paper that you actually want your life to look like. And your business is a huge part of that. Why don't we put it down on paper in a way that's simple and doesn't overwhelm you?
There we go. If it's important to you, then I think you should do the work.
Bam.
That's it.
He said it. And another thing before we like hop into it, you don't need to
Yep.
be type A to have a planner calendar. I was not a calendar person before I did this. Like I remember my mom begging me, get a planner when I was like starting out college. Please. I got a planner, never used it. I know some of y'all are laughing and nodding while I'm saying that right now. Like you get the planner every year and you never use it.
Make the plan. Then you got to
But
do the
like
plan.
Chai said, yeah, exactly. Like if you get hungry enough, you'll do it. You'll do the plan.
Have you seen that little? There's a viral. I wonder if I could like share it somehow. But there's like a little viral reel that was made a little while ago, and it's a cartoon, two guys, and they're like making a plan. And it's a guy talking to his brain. It's like, yes, let's make the plan. We're making the plan, and then they make a plan. They go, okay,
Yes.
should we do the plan? And then let's get a lunch break. And then they come back. Well, now we got to do the plan. He's like, yes,
Yes.
do the plan. Like, I feel like that's
Yes.
where everyone gets to. Hey, it's like you make the plan and you get so excited about it, but then it's like, oh, we got to do the plan.
Yep. That I've seen that. Yep. Put it
um,
somewhere for them.
One thing I would just wanted to say to everyone as well, and this is something that this is like my little input here. What I know is a lot of creatives don't like to make plans and they don't like to use calendars and they don't like to be that organized a lot of the times. But what I got to say is if you organize your time and if you actually plan things out, then a few things are going to happen. But the one main thing that will happen is you can become more creative and have more fun because you got time to be creative and you got time to have fun. If you're always in a state of like no clarity and you're confused and no fulfillment and you don't know where you're going, and it's kind of like, you didn't use your GPS or Google Maps and you just don't know where you're driving, you're going to
That's
have
so good.
anxiety and it's going to be really hard. So I believe
Exactly.
if you want to be more creative, then you need to make a plan.
Make a plan. It's like a
All right,
like a little
let's go into the
advertisement.
plan. Step one.
Let's do the plan. Step one. All right, let's talk a little bit of mindset first. So steps 1 and 2 are going to be really mindset, target setting, and then steps 3 and 4 are going to be implementation. So
Ooh.
step one, I just want to have a conversation. I want you to answer this simple question that you probably heard before. Why are you a photographer? Why do you want to be a photographer? I want you to word up everything that comes to your mind. If you got to pause the episode to actually write that down for me really quick, do that. I want you to think of anything that could possibly be a reason, selfishly, not selfishly. And then when you've done that, I want you to write it into a simple sentence. So let's say I'm just going to come up with some examples and we'll see where we land. Let's say you're a stay-at-home mom who's bringing in like 40 45% of your household income, and now your kids are there. You got like 3 kids and they're three under four. I think that's how you say it. Yeah, they're three under four. So they're all kind of toddlers. They're not babies anymore. So they're like not young enough to just sit there while you edit and talk to clients, but they're also not old enough to not burn the house. um,
I feel like if you got
so
3 kids under 4 years old, you've got no time. You just got chaos.
absolutely. And I know someone's listening to this and they're like,
Yeah, they're
it's
sitting there
me.
going, yo, yo,
Hi.
yo. That's my life.
That's me. So at this point, you're like, I need space to be a mom, is what you're saying right now. But I also am bringing in 45% of our household income. So we need to make some cash, like for real.
Mm.
So your sentence might be, once you've written that all down, like, I need time to be a mom and make serious cash. That's why I'm a photographer, because I can be a photographer and do that.
Yeah, you can do
Great.
both.
Awesome. Whatever your sentence is, take some time, pause, write that down, and then make a simple sentence, and then play the episode. Before we move on to step two in this like mindset portion, I do want to throw a little question in here that I ask myself when I work through this every single year, because the answer changes. Let's be real, as your life changes. What needs to be true about your business in order for your why to actually be completed? So you have done the sentence. Let's keep on like the mom train here. So like you need time to be a mom and make serious cash or bring in 45% of your household income. What needs to be true about your business in order for that sentence to actually come to fruition? So if you were in that category we just talked about, you probably need a lot of flexibility, and you may need to do like a Jai Long Co model, for example, where you have team members for just about everything. And I'm not talking about like outsourcing your editing. I mean, like you have someone who helps with your sales calls. I have someone on my team that specifically does sales calls for certain times of the year. It's a very niche role, but there's a reason why I have that person on my team doing that. So you may need to increase your pricing. You be maybe like, man, I know someone did the business map and I need to go get that course right now. Whatever needs to be true about your business in order to have that space to in time to be a mom, you should probably write that down too. I guess I'm curious, Jai, what would your sentence be?
What needs to be true?
Yeah, what's your why for your education brand, and
Yeah,
who are
I
you?
mean, my way is definitely I want to like empower as many people as possible with the art of making money in their business so then they can create something that they love. And for me to make that true is I need as many people as possible to hear and be in contact with my content, basically. So if I'm thinking about my business, it's like if I had content um, in front of more people, then I am going to be making that impact.
I love that. Bam. That's really simple. It's like
Simple.
it's so simple once you actually like say
Yeah.
it and write it out. I love that. So let's keep going. So step two, then you process like our meta high level stuff, as I'd call it. Step two is going to be, now what are your 2024 life and business goals? Now you have that in mind. It's really close to home. I want you to word dump everything about your business that you want to do in 2024, or whenever you're listening to this. You could be
Mm-hmm.
listening to this in 2029. Great.
Probably.
um I really think about this. Like, are you shooting and editing all your weddings? Are you solely focusing on more of the photography, artist, creativity side of your business? Like the business management is not fun for you. And in
Mm.
order to live your why, like you can't be doing a whole lot of that. For me, for example, like I love business. I love the behind the scenes, as extroverted as I am. I love the tinkering. in my office alone figuring out analytics. I love that stuff. So there's some things in my business that I've done to allow me to have time to do that. Are you hiring associates? Why are you hiring associates? These are just like some prompt questions, things that we talk about in the photography industry to just think about. Um, are you having another kid this year? Is that something that y'all want to like maybe talk about? Buying a house? I don't know. So you have identified your why. You've kind of processed what needs to be true in order for your why to happen. And then you word dumped everything in your life and business that you're thinking about. Um, Now step 3 comes in. Here's a promotional calendar. Here's the good stuff. So
We're here.
we're here. Let's get into it. We've done all of our processing and our crying, and I say that, but if you were me doing this, there's probably tears sometimes. So step 3, I'm going to break up into some mini steps, but just so we're clear, step 3 is create a promotional calendar. Step 1 was answer your overall why. Step 2 was write down your current year's life and business goals. Now, step 3 is create a project calendar with all this information. I think I just said promotional calendar, project calendar. I'm gonna break up step 3 into like I guess you could say like 5 sub points, so it's very clear for you. So step 1 in your process of making a calendar is I want you to separate your high level goals and your project goals. So you just wrote down a bunch of high level things that are not tangible. That's going to be a high level goal. Like like a high level goal, for example, is I want more time to be a mom and raise my kids. Just going on that example that I had already given. That's a really serious and real goal, but it's not tangible. So you're gonna put that into your high level calendar, like high level category. So like if you have a notebook piece of paper, write high level and then write project based and make a list. So once you separate things into the high level category, you're going to have also your project based side, and that's going to be specific, tangible quantitative goals. For example, the one that we talk about a lot is people wanting to break $100,000. Like I want to break 6 figures this year. I want to book 20 to 30 weddings. I am done editing every wedding front to back. I want to hire an editor. I want to hire an editor to do a quarter of my weddings for the year. These are like number based goals. And so you're going to have your high level list and then you're going to have your project list. Um, After this, I want you to like take out a different piece of paper and I want you to put your high level goals at the top of that piece of paper. Everything that we talked about in your why, like this is like your anchor now. At the beginning of the top of the paper, this is your anchor that you're going to look at. And now you're going to take that project based list and you're going to separate that into 2 more categories. You're going to have an internal business goal list and you're going to have an external business goal list. And I'll tell you why we're doing this in a minute. Kind of just write it out for me and I will explain why we're breaking it up. So, now that you have just your project list you're working with, these are like, remember your quantitative goals. I want you to separate what goals on that list look like things that no one will actually ever see you do, and a list of things that clients will see you do. So this could be if you're really like serious about getting a certain amount of weekends off in this year, one of your really simple goals may be I need to block off weekends in my calendar this year and have every quarter I'm going to have a weekend and me and the spouse are going to go take a retreat. I don't know, whatever you want to do. That's something no one is going to see. So I want you to put that in your internal list. And then in your external list, that might be I'm shooting 5 weddings this month, or I'm going to cap it 4 weddings, or whatever that may be. That's something that people are going to see. So you're going to separate that into 2 different lists. So in this whole first step, you have just separated all of the word dump goals that you just made, and you put them into very clear categories. So that way we can see exactly what we're looking at. And it probably already feels way less overwhelming. So now that you've separated your high level goals and your project based goals into two different lists, now you're going to go into your subsection 2 over here. I want you to do some research on your project based goals. What steps do you need to take for every single one of those goals to actually be a reality? Some of those things might take you 5 minutes. That might be planning out your days off for the year. Some of those things might take you 12 months, i.e., doing a photography course that you may want to take. It could take 6 months, it could take 2 years, but I want you to do some research and get a general idea of that list of internal and external goals. Now, how much time is that going to take? So you have a good idea next to each goal. And now that's going to lead you into our subsection 3. Make a calendar. So this is where I said I would talk about this later. This is where that 2 block thing from the story I told at the beginning of the podcast came into play. So what I would do, I'm on a podcast right now, so we don't have visuals. So I'm gonna walk it best I can audio wise, and I want you to draw for me. If you're not an artist, that's okay. You can draw it and then put it into a Notion template or put it into a Google Doc calendar you made from tables. However you actually want to design the calendar, knock yourself out. But I'm going to have you draw it for now. That way you can just walk with me through the process. So I want you to create 2 boxes, just draw 2 boxes side by side. And then I want you to draw 11 more boxes under that. So you're going to have 12 boxes for 12 months in a year, and you're going to have 2 columns for that. And right above the box to your left is that's going to be like your internal business goal box. And then your external business goal box is going to be the one right next to it. I want you, now that you've done some research, to put your steps for meeting those internal and external goals into each month for when you're going to do them. And this is where planning is going to get really intentional. If you're doing a course, for example, on photography, on how to increase your revenue and book out every single weekend, whatever the course is specifically focusing on, and you know that the course is probably going to take you a year to see results, 12 to 18 months, I would put taking a little bit of that course into each month. You may not know which modules you're going to do yet, but you know, on a high level, internally in your business, I'm going to be doing coursework every month. And let's say, for another example, you know that you already have booked out 5 weddings in February, March, and April. I want you to put doing 5 weddings on your external goal list on the right side, and each month that you're doing 5 weddings. So now you know which weekends you are not having that time off and which weekends you have to block off. So this is basically a really simple calendar, but you have 2 sides. So you know really specifically, this is what no one will see, this is what people will see, and now I'm informed on how to make other decisions based on everything that I mapped out. So once you've done this, and this will take some time before we like finish out for this step, I just want to pause because there's a lot of information. You might be listening to all of this and you might be like, man, this is really overwhelming. Like, this is really good, but I don't know how to actually do all of this. I really encourage you to take a weekend or a couple weeks or a sabbatical when you actually implement this to have time to do it uninterrupted. Like if you are busy right now keeping your kids at bay while you're listening to this, you are not doing this right now, and that's good. You should not be. You go take care of your kids. But I do want you to create some space for a 3-day, 4-day weekend, or take a sabbatical to actually do this, because this will take you a little bit of time to actually process and think through. So I just wanted to say that as we're going on, listen, pause it, listen again, pause it. It's a process. So now that you've made this calendar and you've separated it into 2 different categories, now I want you to take your sheet, your Notion doc, wherever, whatever the document is, and I want you to take it to a trusted source, a coach, a spouse, someone, and give it to them. Explain to them all of your high level goals, explain to them step 2, your 2024 goals, and walk them through all of the goals and the steps that you put in each month for the year, and let them kill it. Let them give you feedback, let them kill it, let them bring you down to earth. Like if we're going back to our original example of the mom who wants time freedom, if you had specific goals mapped out and you put too much on your plate, I want someone in your life to tell you this is not realistic. The new offers that you put on your external business category, like they're not going to happen in that month because you're doing XYZ, and let them edit it for you. Once you've talked to them, you can make changes, make it palatable. And then that subsection 5 in this step is to apply the plan.
We're going to do the
Up
plan.
just a You had to do the plan. You made the plan. Now do the plan. Follow it and make adjustments. This plan is not going to stay the same. Like you just made this calendar. It's not going to actually stay the same. Let's be honest. But you have something to refer back to. And that was my subsections for step 3, actually making the calendar. So now you've made the calendar. Let's just review here before we go down to our final step, which is the easiest of them all. Step 1, map out your why. Like word dump everything and bring it down to a sentence. Why are you a photographer? What is this doing for you, for your life, and for others? And a little question I have for you on that step is, what needs to be true about your business in order for this why to actually become a reality for you? And then step 2 is going to be map out your goals for the year. Like I said, if you're watching this or listening to this in 2029, what are your 2029 business and life goals? Step 3, make your project calendar. And we talked about the steps for doing that. You're going to want to essentially, at the end of making your calendar, you're going to have 2 columns for each month based on your internal goals and your external goals for your business, step by step, what you need to do to hit those goals that you made in step 2. And then step 4 is, I want you to rinse and repeat steps 1 through 3 every 6 months or every year as needed. I know for a lot of us, you listen to a podcast at the beginning of the year, and I think that at the time of this recording, that this will go out in the first quarter of the year, roughly, or in that first quarter of the year, we are all gung-ho about our planner book. And then the wedding season starts and we forget the planner book and we don't use it anymore. And then at the end of the year, we're stressed and we're upset. And then we listen to another podcast on planning goals and we get hyped up. And then we don't do anything else after that. I don't know how many of us are listening to this and they do that, but that was me before I actually made this system. That was me. I did it every year. I get hyped and I'd be like, let's go. And then I wouldn't do anything. So if it helps, if you're not a planner type of mind, you're not a type A person, maybe you should do this every 3 months. And it won't be probably as extensive for you. Steps 1 and 2 won't be as extensive for you every 3 months, but you are going to be able to monitor yourself a little bit better, or do it every 6 months. I personally do it every year. I take a winter break every single year, away from my team, away from everything I'm doing in the business. And for about 4 weeks in the year, I am in processing, I'm in prayer, and I am reassessing the goals every single year. And I'm making my two-sided calendar. And so when I come into the year and I have my planning meeting with my admin on the things that we're going to do this year, I've got my two categories and steps in each month based off of the goals that I want to hit for the business. And it allows me to be clear annually on how my business goals are being hit. But, and I'll end it out this way, more importantly, how the business is still aligned with my life.
Mm.
I'm not just making money, but I'm also being fulfilled, like Jai said. If we like just go back to the, I guess, the beginning of my story, like Jai was saying, my business was making money. That wasn't the problem, but I wasn't fulfilled. My business was not intentional to my life at all. However, in making a project calendar like this that is so intertwined with my life and my heart, I now at the beginning of every year can look back on the previous year and go, no, we made money, but that also was the line for when I wanted my life to go. And now I can say that every year. And it leaves room for human failure while also making sure that you're still aligned with your goals. So those are the steps.
So you spend like once a year, you go and redo it, but do you actually go and like stop in and look at it like every week, every month, or any time that you're feeling discouraged or directionless? Like, do you circle back and just look at this calendar?
That's a great question. I think I think everyone's answer will probably be different on how they process like project management. I look at this plan on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of every month, I'll go off and I'll cross off the things that I did, that I actually accomplished. And it seriously, you should do that, whether you make it on a checklist. This is why I always suggest doing it in an e-document, making a
Mm,
template for yourself to do this, because it's going to allow you to like check things off automatically or however it's set up, and it's really going to motivate you to keep on going.
mm,
Once you I had someone who had access to our yearly goal list for either the last year or the last 2 years, and at the beginning of every month they would go in and see what goals were accomplished and just hype me up in my email and be
that's
like,
epic.
you killed that this month.
Mm.
So I do it every month, and then this is for another day, but I make my weekly and monthly schedules for how I block my time based off of this calendar. And so that's how I manage it on a day to day. But
It's awesome. And just like my way of doing this as well, if you just want to undercomplicate it, like I always think the funny thing is, I'm a seven-figure earner in my business, but if you look how I run my business, it's the most simple way to run any business. But I do things like
yeah,
this and I will just do it in notes on my phone and literally, and I look at it all the time, and I can just check things off. So it can be something as simple as literally your notes on your
exactly.
phone. Like it doesn't have to be anything wild. Or another one that I have, just a simple little one, but we got a post-it note on my computer that my PA actually put there, and it just says like, "Is this in line with our 2024 goals and our direction?" And so every time I got to make a decision, I just look at that one post-it note. That's the only one on my computer, literally, and it's a physical post-it note. And yeah, I just look at it and I go, oh, it's just so easy to make a decision. I'm like, actually, it's not. It's like, oh, it might make a bit more money, but it's not in line with the goals, or it might be real fun to do, but it's not in line with the goals. And so if I ever have to ask her, like, do you think we should do this? She's like, what do you think? Look at the post-it note. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. That's
That's
what I do.
so good. Oh,
Yeah,
that hypes
sometimes
me
it's
up
just
actually.
simple, hey, like, and it can really make a big impact as well.
I actually like I'm actually glad you mentioned that because I forgot to mention that actually. The reason why I write my high level goals at the top of the document is for that exact reason. So I do the same thing, but I just do it in an online version. And
Mm.
so if I'm getting asked to speak somewhere, do this project, do this wedding, whatever, I go back to the high level goals and I'm like, does this align with what I'm doing with my life? And if it doesn't, we're not doing it. And we have to
Mm.
have, as business owners, the discipline to say no.
Totally. Love that, man. This is really, really good, and there's just so much here. There's definitely we're going to put it together a workbook as well, so people can like visualize it, see it, download it, use it, which will make it so much easier. But Ivan, I just want to say like big thank you for jumping on here and sharing this step by step plan. I know it's going to give so many people clarity. Without clarity, you got chaos.
That is absolutely right. I hope this was helpful for y'all, and I hope that you're encouraged and feel like, man, I could tackle this little by little in my timing and I could make something beautiful. That's what we want for you. So,
Where can our audience come and say hello? What do you got coming up?
yeah, you can find me on the social webs at my very French name on Instagram at my handle, Ivan Amssan, Amssan. I'm sure it'll be in the show notes for you. And we also do workshops, and I do coaching. Any way I can help be successful. And so the links to any future workshops that we have for photographers and videographers will be in the show notes, as well as the link to hourly and monthly coaching as well.
Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next week.